Good morning, LL. Welcome in. Hump Day. Let's get it. The Tar Heels on the horizon. Tar Heels on the horizon. I always why do people say horizon, horizon, horizon? Some people say it with the H silent. It's just one of those words, man, depending upon the dialect and where you're from. But Tar Heels on the horizon. Lucky's going to be here, hopefully in seconds. I literally just got off a phone call with him, a business called Lucky Lefty Podcast, brought to you by Onora Whisky, OnoraWhisky.com. It's that premium American whiskey, OnoraWhisky.com. If you drink, make sure that you drink responsibly. Shout out to everyone that makes up the 2,800 for us. The 2,800 tribe going to be the 2,900 tribe real soon. And it's all because of you. Super chat should be back in effect later on this week. Thank you for pointing that out to us. And special show today. I'm just letting you know, I'm going to play somewhat of an advocate for what we've seen as far as playing time for the youngsters. Understand that it's been frustrating, watching certain position players play, certain groups play. But we'll talk about that. Then we're going to talk about why North Carolina is the absolute best foe for Notre Dame to be facing right now, where they are as a team. And we felt that way about Cal. Like coming off the disappointing home loss to Marshall, we felt like Cal was that opponent that was pretty much vanilla. You knew what they were going to do. They wouldn't push back. And we thought it would be by at least 10 points. But nonetheless, they get the victory. And you're happy with that. You see improvements from the offensive line. You see improvements from the running back. There's still some things that left to be desired when it comes to Tommy Rees and the play calling. But, that beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Then we talk about the defense and how Isaiah Foskey, Jacob Lacey, and the entire defensive line stepped up. We'll get to Marcus Freeman's comments on that. And then, there's still the linebacker play is still questionable, right? But then the best unit outside of the special teams has been the secondary. And they've been able to infuse the young talent with Ben Morrison starting last week. Jaden Mickey has come in and got run. Tariq Bracy continues to be a dog in the slot. And then you have the improved play from Clarence Lewis. And then you have Cam Hart steadily getting better as he continues to try to recuperate from that hamstring injury, the hamstring injury he suffered late in camp. So you feel good. And then the safety play. DJ Brown, he got the penalty last week, as Marcus Freeman said. He didn't like it, but they had focused so much on punching the ball out that DJ in that situation just has to learn, look, the whistle's blown, let me relax a little bit. No excuse for that. But hey, he absolutely loves the aggression and the way his safeties are playing. So, look, we're going to get into that as well. But I'm going to play advocate, and I'm going to explain why I understand what's going on with the youngsters. Why I understand what's going on with the youngsters, right? First of all, North Carolina, Drake May, passing attack. Josh Downs has been injured. He's coming back. Not sure. I'm hearing that he might not totally be 100%. He might give it a go in this game. But they still have a lot of young wide receivers that can really make things happen. They have really big tackles. They're very similar to Marshall's offensive line. Big, long tackles. And they're going to be able to do some things. They have a true freshman starting at left tackle. And hopefully Notre Dame can get after him. That would be very beneficial if this defensive line can continue to move forward and dominate even more. And that's why I feel like, as we'll get to this later, that North Carolina is like the perfect opponent for what you want to do as a team moving forward. So Marcus Freeman was pleasantly pleased with the pass rush against Cal. He talked about that on Tuesday, and then we're going to talk about his comments and what he did that shows me that he's growing as a head coach.
Going to drop back and pass the ball more in the second half after we got him down a little bit, and our D-line did a good job of being relentless and getting after quarterback. But also with that comes those couple plays where the quarterback scrambles, and that's the fine line is we got to be relentless to get after the quarterback. But at the same time, we can't give up a fourth down conversion with the quarterback scrambling and a second and long conversion with a quarterback scrambles. Like, we have to understand the integrity of our rush lanes. And so it's a double-edged sword. We want to get pressure and we want to be relentless after the quarterback, but we also don't want to see that quarterback scrambling for a first down. And so those are some things that we have to make sure we clean up defensively in the D-line, and offensively it's just continuously improving. And that's what you love to see, is that group from Ohio State to Marshall to Cal has gotten better. And like I said, they have a lot of room to grow. You know why they have a lot of room to grow? Because they're extremely talented. It's a talented group that the ceiling is really high, but they're improving. And I'm really, really encouraged by the things I've seen from Coach Easton and Coach Wash and our O-line and D-line.
Marcus Freeman talking about the D-line and how they get after Cal in the second half. Left is in the building. So when Marcus Freeman says that, and I already know Malik is going to push back, but I'm going to bring it up anyway. I trust Marcus Freeman to be a very intelligent head coach. Now, you can judge his intelligence by lack of effort from leadership in the first two games. That's fine. If you want to judge his intelligence by their undisciplined play in the first three games, that's fine. That's on you. For me, I see the growth day by day, game by game, the way he's maturing as a head coach. The fact that in that same press conference, he told us that Al Washington pretty much got it last week. He didn't get at the players. He got at Al Washington. Like, yo, it's time to put up or shut up. What's good? And he talked about it in that clip. The ceiling for this defensive line is much higher than the production we've gotten from them. What's going on? What's up with that? He's already a player's coach. He's not going to throw the players under the bus. That's not who he is. But he talked about that. He talked about, I talked to Harry Heastan. This is who we are as a team. This is how we're going to win. We got to step it up. This O-line has to be better. They have to carry the day. This defensive line has to be better. They have to carry the day. I'm seeing growth. I know he's an intelligent young man. I say young man because, heck, he's younger than me, Left. So he's a young man. He's a young head coach. But the reason that I know that he's doing the right thing 3 games into the season by not rushing specifically, I know LL Nation and everyone watching in the chat, they might feel a certain way. He's not rushing his guys. I want to say that again. Ziegler, Burnham, Sneed, Tulamaka, they're his guys. And he's not about to rush his guys. He's not about to put his guys that he recruited out there before they're ready to play at a certain level. I might not like it. And the only reason we don't like it is because the production at the position has been subpar. That's the only reason we have an issue with the development of the young talent. That's the only reason we're asking for Tobias Merriweather to play. It's because the offense is struggling. And we're hoping and looking for any spark.
That's right.
But based upon what the conversation in the Players Lounge, we can announce it today. Coming up Monday in the Players Lounge, OG Reggie Brooks joins us on the Players Lounge Monday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Don't miss it. But it's amazing that when you take a step back, you come to understand that Marcus Freeman was intelligent enough to know the team he had. He knew the team he had. He knew it. He knew the roster was not as deep as previous Notre Dame squads. He knew that. He knew things pretty much had to be perfect. They were hoping that Tyler Buckner would perform the same way he performed all spring and summer in practices. He didn't. Did they come out with a little bit too much faith in him and putting too much on his shoulders offensively? You can say that. I can rock with that. I can't push back on that. We told you.
Yeah.
He outplayed Drew Pine. Collectively. Yeah, Drew Pine might have won a few practices over the spring and summer. But Tyler Buckner won the competition. I don't care what anybody else is reporting. He won the competition. And he has a higher ceiling at the position. But sometimes players step into the arena and what they show in practice, it just doesn't translate, particularly in the passing game. But I firmly believe that Marcus Freeman correctly analyzed this roster and chose development over empty calories. Empty calories would have been, this is what empty calories would have been, bro. Empty calories would have been going and getting Keaton Slovis. Empty calories would have been going to get Jaden Daniels. Would Notre Dame be 3-0 with Jaden Daniels at quarterback league? Probably. It's a good chance they would have been. Could they have gone out and got JT Daniels? Maybe. They'd probably be 2-1, 3-0 with JT Daniels. But Marcus Freeman has chose development. It's clear as day. He said it this week. We had an opportunity to take a transfer, and we decided that it was best for the program that we didn't take a transfer quarterback at Notre Dame, because that's not what's going to get us to the top. We can't be a transfer quarterback program. We have to be able to recruit and develop the position. And he took the chance of, depending on what he had and the coaching being able to develop what they had, to stick to the vision and the plan. So as I take a step back, and even with that, they should be 2-1 at worst. Right? At worst. As CJ said on Monday in the Players Lounge, look, Tyler Buckner could have played better, and CJ Stroud could have still stepped it up in the fourth quarter and won the game because that's who he is.
We was in the red zone 7 times.
Well, on their side of the field 7 times, red zone 3 times, come away with 10 points. So I understand what a fan base is because of the record, the way things have looked offensively. But big picture, if this staff indeed made the decision, this roster, we're going to coach them up. We're going to let these leaders play. We're going to let these upperclassmen play. And we're not about to force the issue and do some of the same things and make some of the same mistakes that were previously made. And I truly believe, in my opinion, that Marcus Freeman has decided, specifically at the linebacker position, my guys, the guys I recruited, once they step on the field, they're going to be ready to go. I'm not putting them out there one series, one snap earlier until they're ready to go.
That's right.
People asking for Jalen Sneed. He's small, man.
He's small.
He's small. He's real small right now.
Safety small.
Yes.
He'd be a nice size for a safety, though.
Oh, man. But they stacked the safety. Ramon Henderson. And this is where niche. This is what Ramon Henderson is becoming, a Tyrann Mathieu type player. Like a guy you move around. You blitz him off the edge. You blitz him up the middle. Maybe he moves to Rover next year and gains some weight. But he's a piece that you start to see, this dude he's a disruptor. So as much as you might not like the fact that the college football playoffs are very much out of reach going into week 4, as CJ said, the direction of the program is in good hands and going in the right direction because the staff has chosen to make the program about development. They've chosen to make this program about development, and they've chosen not to go after the low-hanging fruit that is the transfer portal. They can't. That's why they hung in with Dante Moore so long, bro, because they knew the importance. They knew the importance. That's why they hung in with Dante Moore as long as they did. When they started feeling a little eerie about Dante, that's why they quickly moved on to CJ. They understand the importance of getting that guy at the quarterback position for this program. They get it. Marcus Freeman gets it, bro.
Yeah.
Like what ultimately is going to bring a national championship, he gets it. And if he has to sacrifice a little bit of the present to make sure things are right, I'll rock with it. I get it. I can deal with 8-4, 9-3, 7-5. I can deal with it. If it makes us better when we step on the field against Tennessee State next year. So I know you might want, offensively, you might want Tobias to be on the field. CJ said it. You're right. You can literally tell him to route the run.
Yeah, like receiver's easy.
Like, this is your play. Go. Right? Linebacker is different. There's so much communication, so many things. You have to be in communication with the safeties. Safeties talking to you talking to the defensive line, making sure they're in the right spot, making sure they shift the right way. It's a lot that goes into this. That's a lot that goes into this. But the one thing I say is that even in this season, even after the bad start, the way they're going to have to win games is starting to crystallize right before our eyes. But be patient, man, because I know everybody I get it. Everybody wants Prince Collie in. Everybody wants Jalen Sneed in. Everybody wants Junior Tuilamaka in. You're just like, man, we're ready to see the future. Relax. You will. You will. Give them time because they're not going to show up on the field until they're ready because they're his guys. I get it. They're his guys. I totally get it.
Yeah, and I think it's important that Marcus Freeman isn't giving up too much of what he wants to establish too early. I think we talked a little bit about it in the Fiesta Bowl. He was only managing what was given to him at the Fiesta Bowl. So, he's making sure he can install some of the values, but also realize that, I'm not wasting my best years in these transition years either. Why would I put what I invested so much in as a part of my foundation, bringing in this as a head coach, when we're not going to have a quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
especially a guy that I'm influencing, especially a guy that, I can put my name on because technically he can put his name on Tyler, but Tyler wasn't the guy that he handpicked to come to Notre Dame. Even with CJ, I mean, CJ, he played a big part in, but I think he was more surprised than, not that he doesn't want CJ, but he was more surprised that the decision like that was made outside of, his realm of what his control was. So I
Yeah.
think after that first game, he's looking at it like, I'm not about to put my prize and my prize recruitment on the line and play those guys too early to where they don't have a good foundation themselves. I think if anything, you have to let 2 years of development, unless you got freaks of nature, like a Jalen Smith or something, is when you're trying to bring in a new program, a new regime, a new way of playing football. I mean, what we have now that's a lack of is still a residue from what we had last time. So yeah, the fans are still frustrated that we as fans want quick change, which, for a guy like Marcus Freeman, he's not a fast food product. If we had a Lincoln Riley, I would assume a lot of guys would be on the field that are really young because that's his style of program building. But we do know about Lincoln Riley that doesn't last long. That's a 3 or 4 year bout before the ship sinks. But with Marcus Freeman, I think he has gotten a lot of wisdom from mentors that he takes heed from. So he knows what it's like to really build a strong program that lasts 5 to 10 plus years. So look at how Cincinnati is. Him playing a big part in Cincinnati for a program that nobody really thought much of to be a playoff contender or even be beating Notre Dame. But I believe that the foundation he set with Luke Fickell trickled into the years when he left Cincinnati. Him and Mike Mickens leaving Cincinnati and what the product of what they grew before they even came to Notre Dame and how that came back on them. So it just shows that, Marcus Freeman knows how to build special talented players, whether they be 3 stars or 5 stars. But you'll see the true result of those players 3 or 4 years down the road if it's done the right way. I think Cincinnati is a great place to look at as what Marcus Freeman had a hand in and how it developed over time and what it meant for the program. For him to have a hand in that Cincinnati program, for it to be a college football playoff team, just imagine what his hand in Notre Dame as the head guy can be 3 or 4 years, 2 or 3, 4 years down the road.
Yeah. And man, I'm loving the chat and I'm loving the comments. And I knew this was going to be a topic that a lot of people were going to be, conflicted with. That's why I thought, the comments from Marcus Freeman were very, very interesting this week. It was something else he said, and let me bring it in. He talked about the progress on both lines, and I thought this was very interesting.
Really, you're starting to see some consistency out of that group. J-Pat, obviously this is his second game, but those guys being together for 3 games, they're getting better. They're improving. The fundamentals, the execution, the techniques they're playing with are improving. They have a long way to go. They do. And they're an extremely talented group, but they're still young. And I know it's week 3, but they're still young, but they're really starting to become cohesive and execute the way we want. But there's teaching. It's funny, you watch the film and there's teaching plays left and right. If he's got to do this for us to make this a 1-2 yard gain into a 5 or 6 yard gain, or the 6 yard gain into a 12 yard gain. And so that's the beauty of it, man. They played much better, and they have a lot of room to grow.
If the guys that are sophomores, juniors, and seniors have a lot of room to grow, what does that say about the freshmen? Because as good as the freshmen are, there is no Jalen Smith in that linebacker room.
No.
Ladies and gents. I don't. There is no Jalen Smith. There is no Manti Te'o. Walk on campus and you're just a dog. No.
Jalen's a rare special.
Rare breed, man. Rare breed. Like, you understand? Jalen Smith is probably athletically and physically 80% of the player he was.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with his career path while he's getting signed to practice squads and stuff, but Jalen at Notre Dame before the injury was Michael Parsons wouldn't be the only person talked about on the Cowboys.
Absolutely. Because everything Michael Parsons is doing, Jalen could do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Everything. And the fact that he still recovered and became his first 2 years in the league, Jalen was playing like Pro Bowl level.
He was a Pro Bowler.
And he was not the same athlete he used to be.
Yeah, and that wasn't the same Jalen.
Yo, that shows you how cold he was, bro. That guy is not in the linebacker room.
No.
He's not. I don't care what you have heard from recruiting sources, how many stars guys had. That dog is not. No, they don't have one. They don't have one. And let's be honest, Manti came in at a time where it was literally the beginning of the rebuild. He had to play. He had to. Jalen stepped on campus and it was like, what the?
Yeah.
He was different. He was different. And I am taking into consideration what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing and saying, you know what? Well, we'll get to it. Let's get to some of these questions, dude. And then we can get to like the offense, the passing game in North Carolina and why they're the perfect foe. Sam B, we appreciate you. Loyal listener, love the podcast. We thank you for tapping in. Anthony Solomon, the young guys can get out of position and miss tackles. Let them get their feet wet each game where they would be ready to go in 2023. You can take that one, bro.
I always thought, I understand Marcus Freeman's point of view. If he got time. Now, Marcus Freeman is given time to be holding back on players and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I get it. But there's nothing wrong with defensively putting guys out there, Jaden Mickey, Ben Morrison, some of the linebackers, against the teams that were more talented then. I think it'd be great to get them some reps. Or even, take the approach of playing them in big moments. It doesn't have to be a whole game, but finding your spots, I think, for a guy that is, if it's focused on winning all these games now, it's no. I don't have a problem with it. If you have time and they're like, okay, we're not going to even give credit this first year. We're gonna let it slide. You got
Mm-hmm.
guaranteed 3 with whatever. I'm holding back too. I mean, until I get my quarterback, y'all not finna be putting all this on me. You
I'm
know what I
holding
mean?
back
So
too.
I do think that it would be great to see the guys that are closer to being ready get some snaps. I think you made a great point with Jalen Sneed. He's just not big enough. I don't think putting him in now is going to give him too much of a benefit like it would maybe a Tulamaka, just because he's got some size and he's made a lot of great plays in the spring to where you're like, man, he damn near could start. He damn near could really get some time. So um, I think it'll be great to see how this the rest of the season pans out, knowing that it's going to be a challenge. Is Marcus Freeman going to give in and start saying, we're just going to have to put these guys in because I can't even stand watching this? Or is he going to give them the ceremony retirement for these seniors that, want to finish the season out? So I think if it was me, I would get irritated with the offense, before we get to another big game. So most likely I'll be irritated after this game because this is a team that has terrible defense, terrible, terrible defense. And, if Appalachian State scoring 60 something points and 40 points in the fourth, we should be crossing that 35 threshold pretty easy.
Florida A&M put up points. Let's put this in perspective. Florida A&M was in the game because they put up points, and they were missing 20 players. 20 players were deemed ineligible. They went to North Carolina and put up points. Then they went home the next week and got beat by Jackson State something like 52-7 or something crazy. App State puts up 50 points. Right? Georgia State blew fourth downs 3 times in North Carolina territory. Like, this is the perfect team to get the passing game going. Like, we're going to talk about that. They are not good on that defensive line. They're young, and you should push them around, run the rock, and you should be able to pep. Michael Mayer should have a field day on this team, an absolute field day on this team. But if you're killing worms with 2-yard passes like you were last week, you can't be trusted. You can't be trusted to pull the trigger. You can't. I got Josh Buffo, the motivational business banker. Josh, you're absolutely right, man. It absolutely shows how special Jalen and Manti were. The way they stepped in immediately. 100%. Chris Davidson. But you can't tell a recruit they can compete for a starting spot. Then when they are the best, say, well, you're not ready. Don't be mad when you have transfers and decommits. First of all, Alabama does not tell incoming freshmen that they can compete for a starting spot. It's Alabama. What are you talking about? Like, yeah, it's open competition, but it's dogs in front of you. It's dogs in front of you. And if you have to wait, Bryce Young was mad, but he waited. And making him wait was the right choice. It was the right choice. I saw a picture the other day after they won the national championship against Georgia, and Mac Jones, Tua, and Jalen Hurts took a picture. Mac Jones was smoking a cigar, and he didn't play a down in the game. He was the third string. That was their quarterback room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was their quarterback room. And Tua ended up playing in the national championship game because Jalen Hurts failed miserably.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm all cool if it's to the point where cats are failing miserably. Like, the linebacker play, and once again, this is where, you get kind of spoiled, right? We get spoiled having a run. Like, Notre Dame had a crazy run. We go from Manti to Jalen to Tavon to Niles to Drew. Like, dude, we've been spoiled. All these dudes are in the league.
Yeah.
And dogs. The linebacker play after that, the ability dropped off a little bit. And honestly, the only reason Drew got moved to linebacker is because of his knee injuries.
Yeah.
Drew was a safety.
Yeah. But why did it drop off? Why did the talent drop off so fast? That's the question. What happened in 2018 recruitment? What happened in 2017 recruitment? How do you go from a Tavon and a Niles and a Drew to a Drew White, a Kaiser, and a Bauer? How does that happen? What was the game plan? What was the look at the entire recruiting class? What was it? 18? Where did we rank in the class in 2018? Let me see. See what I can do.
I got you, bro. Go ahead.
And that's the question of what happened those years. Why did the recruitment fall off from? I mean, we were nailing recruitment since 2011. Since the beginning of Brian Kelly getting there, it was all-star crew, all-star crew, all-star crew. And then once that 4-8 season happened, what happened to the recruitment? Why did the guys or the style of guys change? I mean, it was like a total revamp. And I don't,
They were 10th in 2018, bro.
And it looks like it. It looks like it. It was just weak recruitment all across the board. Maybe that was Coach Kelly signaling.
The number one ranked recruit. Now, let's break this down. The number one ranked recruit was Houston Griffith.
Oh, man.
Kevin Alston was right behind him. Then Phil Jakovic was third. The fourth and fifth recruits in that class were Shane Simon and Jack Lamb.
Who?
They're gone. They're not on the team. That's the point. Then there was Derek Allen, the safety, that transferred to Georgia Tech. Then it was Jason Adamiola. Then it was Braden Lindsay. Then you had George Takich, who's at Boston College. Lawrence Keys, who's gone.
Tulane.
Bo Gower. Noah Boykin, who left. Jared Patterson. Michael Jones, who left. Tariq Bracy. DJ Brown. Tommy Trimble, who's gone. John Dirksen. Luke Jones, who left. Obi Ogofo, who's at Texas now making plays. Jamion Franklin. Once again, prayers to him and his family and what he's been going through. Jameer Smith, Justin Adamiola, Cole Mabry, Joe Wilkins, Paul Moala, Sebo Flemister, who's gone. 27 kids, you tell me the impact. 27 kids, where's the impact? There's not, man.
Other than Trimble?
I don't know if I can say there's one impact.
Oh, yeah.
Player.
Yeah.
Jason Adamiola.
And that's because he got Fauski out there. And I mean, the class recruitment was just weak. So that's what this Marcus Freeman don't want to put his name on that.
I don't know if he feels that way because I think he still loves his guys, all of them.
Yeah, he loves them, but he also loves his job. So if I was him, not being able to fully be able to execute on both sides of the football, I'm not finna have the number one all-star defense with a lackluster offense.
Yeah.
If we just sinking like that, let these guys go ride this one out. I'm going to get my guys ready, and next year we on the scene. But he has to have a quarterback if he wants this thing to work.
Yeah. We have a great question from Joe H. Malik, can you explain your experience on the step up from high school football to playing at major college level as a freshman?
I mean, it's all about what the coaches, how they curate it. If they want you to play, they're gonna find a way to get you to play. If they don't want you to play, they're gonna make it hard as hell. So, it is what it is. If they are doing it, the service that you think you're gonna get when you go in there, you're gonna seem like it's seamless. They're gonna find plays for you. They don't care about the mistakes in practice. They're trying to get you out there, roll you out there, and provide enough for you to go do what you gotta do. If they don't want you to play this year, it's gonna seem like everything is hard. Every mistake you're gonna have is amplified. It's just gonna be terrible. So go to somewhere that wants to play you, and
Mm-hmm.
and even in that instance of growing through, like, okay, you develop and to get ready to play, it's just a matter of what's your effort and attitude going about learning the position. It's not about what the coaches think of you. It's about how you learn your craft from watching people around you, and
Yeah.
also developing yourself. You have to have a self-driven development. Some guys lean too much on these coaches to develop them in college, but that's not really their job. So finding ways to develop your craft, to be prepared for the moments you get, that's the best way of going about it without having hiccups on a development standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
But if you not the guy to come in and play like they have CJ Carr or whatever, you got to still be able to mentally stay locked in due to the fact that it's going to seem like it's a bunch of games going on. It's not a seamless transition of playing the quarterback position like it was at Ian Book. Ian Book's trajectory was so smooth that, of course, he developed over time. They set up Brandon, bring Ian in, and he almost lost it after they was forcing him to go in there, throwing pick sixes as soon as he get in. But once Brandon got up out the way, Ian was able to, maybe which hurt the quarterback room. Maybe they was so afraid of competition with Ian that they undervalued our recruitment at the position.
But this is you have forks in the road as a coach, right?
Yeah.
Um, Dabo has made the decision before. He's going to have to make the decision sometime this year, more than likely. Other coaches right now, Mike Tomlin, it's like, yo, I might have to go to Kenny Pickett like sooner than I want to. The crossroad for this program might have been the decision to pretty much push Phil Jakovic away and choose Ian.
100%.
Ian can win you games. Phil Jakovic developed, could have won you national championships or at least made you a viable contender.
Ian kept you consistent.
That's it. And when you chose not to,
Stay
basic,
aggressive.
yeah, and it comes across as lazy,
And yeah, of
right?
course. Oh,
I'm
we're comfortable with these 9, 10 wins. He looks
yes,
good for the program. He don't want to
yes.
be a star. He don't want to be the face. He just want to be on the team, chilling and vibing.
Like choosing Ian Book over Phil Jakovic
Was the demise of the quarterback room, demise of the team's effort to get towards the national championship.
because that's your impact player from that class.
The only
That's
one.
your impact dude.
Yeah, that was the only one.
That's your dude that should have made other quarterbacks, other 6'3" pro style quarterbacks look at Notre Dame and say, and it has nothing to do with Ian Book. Ian
No,
Book is pretty much, because that's going to sound disrespectful. Look,
he's the benefactor of a coaching staff that gave up. Meaning they was like, okay, Ian proved to be decent enough to where we're not gonna have to worry about recruiting guys to push him. We can let him be the guy and him develop younger guys under him. So we're not gonna bring in no 5-star to make the fans think that we need to switch it up because we've been dealing with that for a while.
Yeah.
Let Ian do his thing the whole time, build a relationship, see how close we can get. But let's not press the gas on pushing Ian at all because that would cause too much distraction. Ian doesn't want to be the face of the team necessarily as the Trevor Lawrence, Baker Mayfield star of the team. Coach Kelly likes that. He's going to go in there and do his job, win a couple games, whatever. But that truly meant that who does that as a top program? Who stops recruiting the best quarterback in the class every year because you can be decent enough? I just find that to be Brian Kelly's way of trying to get out of the situation. Once 2018 happened, he saw Ian's ceiling. He saw the ceiling of the team and what was behind Ian. Because remember, didn't Brendan Clark get in there for a little bit? Because Ian hurt his hand or something like that. Didn't he get in at some point?
Yeah, Brendan Clark was another short. Brendan Clark actually had a strong arm, though. But he was still short stature.
Not an
And
impact player.
yeah, and it's not about. I saw someone in the chat say, "Man, what are you guys seeing from Phil?" I've seen him get beat up because Boston College doesn't have talent.
College. Yeah, it's Boston College.
They don't have talent. This year, they literally have the worst offensive line in the ACC. The worst. The worst. The worst. And if you put Phil Jakovic on the field with the same talent that Ian Book had and actually coach him,
it will feel like a better game versus Trevor Lawrence. It would feel like, okay, Phil ain't Trevor, but Phil like could be a knockoff Trevor in a way. But that's like Pierre said in the chat, it feels like Brian Kelly was trying to use Ian as the bait to a transition NFL team to show that he can win 3-4 years in a row and make it close. With a guy that's veteran enough. But this is the same model because Coach Kelly loves the Patriots model. Loves it. He thinks he's a Bill Belichick reincarnated. So his whole approach to having a quarterback like Ian is no different than the Patriots' approach to having Mac Jones. Even though Mac Jones is a more talented player, we not riding the model of that.
And it's not disrespectful to say, I still think Bill Belichick is one of the best coaches ever in the NFL. Ever.
Yeah.
Ever, especially defensively. Ever. Brian Kelly is a really good coach. CJ told you on Monday he's really smart. Like, dude, he is really smart. But he's not a championship coach.
No.
Because being a championship coach, Kirby Smart went to Georgia and knew he was going to have to outwork Nick Saban. I'm going to have to outwork. So you can talk about the lack of resources, but it'd be one thing if that dude was out recruiting, going up against Kirby, going up against Nick, losing battles, and then he wanted to talk about the lack of resources. I'm like, cool. But when you're giving like 70%, in my opinion, as a head coach, and then you want to try and point and blame resources, man, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. At least Marcus Freeman is fighting Nick Saban. Yeah, okay. Keon Keeley decommitted. It took Alabama for him to decommit. It wasn't like Michigan State and Michigan came around.
Yeah,
it wasn't like USC came around. Right. It's like if your girl leaves you.
Richard Young for no Tulsa.
Right. It's like you meet a girl freshman year and both you all are nerds and she comes back junior year and she's developed a little bit and now all of a sudden she's caught attention of the football players.
Yeah, what?
And one of them snatches her. Tip your cap, dude. Tip your cap. Tip your cap. But at least, Marcus Freeman is fighting.
Yeah,
At least he's fighting. At least he's showing this is what we're going to do moving forward to secure the talent on this roster and having the necessary depth to get to this point. These are the type of quarterbacks that we're going to go after. And if we lose one, guess what? We lost that one, but we got this one. And we're going to get another one in 25. It's a very good chance that Bryce J. Underwood from Detroit, Michigan, who won a state championship as a freshman, is going to end up in Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And that's the process. I mean, that is the process. And it made me take a step back because I'm sure after that loss to Marshall, emotionally, I was right with most of the people that are in the chat and most of the people that watch us every day, bro. I was right there. I was right there. Like, yo, put everybody on the sidelines. Put everybody in. And someone in the chat said, make sure, I think Zoe, this is a great, Z Andretti. If they are a dog, they should play right away. Iron sharpens iron. You don't have any instant dogs. The instant dogs that you have, wait a minute. The instant dogs that you have are playing. Junior Tuilamaka got reps against Cal. Benjamin Morris and Jaden Mickey, we told you Jaden Mickey was a dog from the first practice in spring. Like, oh, he's a dog. He's playing. So this coaching staff is just like every other coaching staff. If you're a dog and they see it, we'll play you. We'll play you. But if you're not ready, we're not about to put you in a disadvantage just to put you out there on the field. It's a difference between being the most talented player and being the best player.
Yeah.
It's a lot of freshmen that come in and are more athletic, faster. Doesn't make them the best player.
Mm-mm.
Someone talked about it, the new middle linebacker for Georgia. They're talking about how he's much faster than the Kobe Dean. But guess what? He wasn't the leader. He wasn't as smart. He couldn't control that defense like Nakobe Dean. He wasn't the best player. He was the best athlete, but he wasn't the best player.
Right.
It's totally different. It's totally different. Johnny S. Only bone I have to pick is that I wish we would have used Buckner like we used Pine. We ran TB too much, in my opinion. Malik, this has been your complaint since day one. Even before the season, you were saying, do not do this.
It's just
to
like
this
what?
kid.
It's like that couldn't have been your plan all off season. All off season, your plan couldn't have been if Tyler starts. Let's make him the number one ball carrier on the team.
Mm-hmm.
First 2 weeks. How is that even how? How do you decide that as the offensive coordinator, knowing that in the limited time he had last year, he was hurt? He was hurt more than our starter, not even playing every game. How is that possible? With crazy injuries, crazy rolled ankle, crazy hamstring injury. And then in the off season, when you don't have Jack, you're like, okay, it's Drew or Tyler Buckner. I know we want to run the ball. I know we got great running backs. There's no way you go into the first 2 weeks after a full off season, after a quarterback battle, and say, man, we're going to go into Ohio State and Marshall with Tyler Buckner being our number one ball carrier.
Agreed.
And zero passing touchdowns in that same amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you doing this whole time? Because if that's the case, I could have did that. We had the hope for an expectation that you were going to come in here and be Kyle Shanahan that thing up. Oh, you got a dynamic guy. You're going to be running motions and throwing it down the field and all this other stuff. You went 3 tight end heavy set on the first game. Either offensive coordinator is not tough in college football and they just take anything with a name, or he legitimately fooled us.
Yeah.
Or he was too distracted by taking trips all over the country, hanging out, visiting places. Because that game plan for week 1, I don't care if it was Ohio State. That's an indictment. It's an indictment. From looking at the numbers, it's an indictment.
Mm-hmm.
Quarterback should have been prepared better. And then the follow-up the next week from a way lesser team in the eyes of college football landscape, in the eyes of every fan watching college football, you put up damn near a worse performance.
Yeah.
By the standard of who we're playing. How? In a follow-up game at home. I mean, it don't get much worse.
Yeah, and Z pointed out that first of all, Jordan Patello, I don't know what you watch. Boy, Jordan Patello is not a dog. Watch the Ohio State game. Please go find the coach's film. Jordan Patello is not a dog.
No.
He can be a good player, but he's not a dog, unless we have 2 totally different definitions of a dog on the football field. Prince Collie. We called for Prince Collie to get ticked last year. Prince Collie, we've said it multiple times, got hurt at the end of camp, missed practices leading up to the Ohio State game, and Marcus Freeman reiterated that he's just getting back into form. He said that Tuesday. And he said as he gets back into form, you'll see Prince Collie on the field. That's that. Like, I find it hard to believe that a coaching staff has no problem playing dogs in the secondary, but will keep dogs off the field at every other position. John A1. So Matt Salerno is a better player than Joe Wilkins and Tobias Merriweather right now. Go watch Joe Wilkins against last week, and I would say yes, he is. Because Joe Wilkins was bad against Cal. Bad. Running routes, blocking, bad. He was bad. Don't question us. The offensive coordinator told you Matt Salerno is a guy that we can trust. That's why we went to him versus Ohio State. And he came back the next week and said Tobias Merriweather is somebody that I can't fully trust right now. So yes, in the eyes of Tommy Rees, Matt Salerno is a better player right now. We didn't say it. He said it.
He said it.
He said it. There's no question who the best athlete in the room is. Tobias is the best athlete. It's easy. It's not even close. However, this is why, perfect segue, because Malik is about to tell you why Drew Pine can and more than likely will look much better in week 2 as a starting quarterback against North Carolina. Go ahead, Luck.
He'll look better because I think he'll calm down a little bit. It's just I was a little surprised to see a guy be so nervous against a team that But I do think that we'll be a lot better shape going into a game like this that's going to give us whatever we want once again. I think Tommy and Drew will have another week to add on because that's the expectation.
Mm.
We can't see a last week performance. We just can't do it. Like that first half, never again.
Now, I'll throw this at you. North Carolina understands their inability to stop the run, and they saw Notre Dame dominate last week. They're going to put 8-9 in the box out the jump.
If I'm North Carolina, I'm blitzing us every time.
Right.
Because I know Drew Pine can't, number one, see anything. And two, he can't get away from nobody. That sack was so easy last week. I would have saw that on film like, oh yeah, we coming after him every play. And in the midst of doing that, you're gonna have more people adding pressure to the box, which will slow the run down, hopefully. But if Drew Pine can't throw that ball deep this game, I just find it another game of struggle. Because if North Carolina was smart, they would blitz the shit out of us. I would. Because if Drew Pine's nervous from Cal with a basic defense, I'm banking on he's going to be nervous with pressure. I mean, he was sitting back there chilling in the second half of Cal, which I think Cal probably will go back and be like, I wish we wouldn't. There's a lot of instances Drew was just sitting back there, standing still in a lot of cases. So if North Carolina was smart, they're like, all right, we're not going to let you stand still. We know you can't see and can't get away from pressure. Are you locked in and non-nervous enough to complete the football down the field? That'll be the test.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be the test. We'll be able to run some. Hopefully we'll design enough runs to keep them on their toes, but they're a bad defense. So hopefully we can take advantage, but, the confidence got to be there from Drew out the gate.
Our guy, Adam Ziliak. Appreciate you, AZ, like the rapper. I'll have to call him AZ from now on. How come all of the most unathletic players on the team are the only ones that coaches can trust? Dude, once again, I think our conversation today is about coaches, right? Mike Mickens has a history of developing freshmen and getting them on the field. Like, I don't know if Tommy Rees has that. I don't know what Mike Mickens is asking of his freshmen. I don't know what Tommy Rees is asking of his wide receivers. I don't know. Right? I just don't know. Heck, I would like to see Tyson Ford and Jason Onye play. But, I mean, the D tackles in front of them are putting in work. Al Washington wasn't looked at as a great coach. People were questioning him. Do you think he's a great defensive line coach? 6 sacks and 27 pressures. Did he become a great defensive line coach after 1 week? All of a sudden? Like, who is that on? Is that on him or is it on the players? I mean, that is the trick. We don't know. I will say this. The last practice we saw publicly as the media, full practice, Chancey Stuckey was livid with Tobias multiple times. The kid is a fast, graceful runner. He dropped 2 passes, and he wasn't snapping his head around and he kept telling him, get your head around and make the play. Like, we see the talent, but in order to get on the field, you got to make plays in practice. Right? So people are talking about his first practice. He was running fly routes, catching passes on everybody, and then it got into the meat practice, and they start asking him to do other stuff. And on that day, I can speak to it. He wasn't successful. And those are basics at wide receiver. You're a quarterback, bro. You throw a beautiful ball, Shorty doesn't snap his head around and catch it. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, but I mean, I grew to learn the progression of receivers as I was a quarterback at Notre Dame. Being a young guy and then getting older, it's like, okay, I understand it's tough. You're adjusting to a lot of what bad habits you had in high school. I'm not expecting you to look like the veteran senior receiver that knows more.
Mm,
So if you're in the beginning of camp going crazy because you catching go routes, maybe right now that's all you can do.
yeah.
I'm not going to use practice to demonize you not knowing something that I know you don't know because I'm telling you how to do it now.
Yeah.
But
I'm
when it
coaching you up. That's
when
my
it,
job, to coach
my
you up.
job. So when it gets to game situations or team scrimmages in practice, I'm gonna just keep calling the go route for you, and you'll have your time when we call
Right.
it.
Let him clear out. Like, let
There's
him clear out
nothing,
zones.
there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're trying to get into the game week and you're trying to scheme for him to get open, that's not his role right now.
Mm-hmm.
You scheming for guys like Braden Lindsey and Styles to get open. A guy like Tobias Merriweather, if you're trying to get him accustomed because you want to be putting him in there, I would be pairing him up wherever Lorenzo Styles is. So if Styles is on the inside, I got my guy on the outside.
Yeah.
So just in case Styles being the number one target don't get it, he's in the vicinity of Tobias Merriweather. To where Tyler's like, oh, okay, if I don't hit him, I can try down here. And it's easy stuff. It's a go route.
Yeah.
But that's a coaching issue. If you're not trusting the player, that means you're trying to scheme too hard to get him in there when you know he don't know it.
Yeah.
That's with the time that you have with the kids in general and how fast the schedule moves. Of course you're not going to trust him, but that's a cop out. You're trying to win games. If you're trying to win games, you don't have time to talk about you not trusting the kid unless he out there purposefully messing up.
Yeah.
Not trusting the kid is him not taking the having the awareness to be like, hey, what I got.
Yo, like,
I tell kids in high school, I'm like, look, if you
if
don't know,
Tobias was getting, if Tobias was getting 10 to 15 snaps, if he was getting 10 to 15 snaps and people were like, man, why is he playing more? And Tommy was like, yo, we don't fully trust him yet to give him 35 to 40 snaps. Then you're like, okay, all right. That means like we understand that. But like when he can't get on the field, like that definitely becomes a problem. I think we all agree with that. My pushback on this big picture of just put them out there. No, you don't put people in positions just to make mistakes until they've proven that they know certain things to a certain level. And that's what Marcus Freeman is definitely doing with his young linebackers. Like he knows linebacker play.
Yeah, he's like, I know what looks good.
I'm not about to put them out there so they can create bad habits. We're not doing that.
I know what
understand that.
Yeah, I understand.
Tobias Merriweather is only an issue because of recruiting at the wide receiver position. Period. Man, do you know how many? Tobias Merriweather exists at Clemson. Tobias Merriweather exists at Georgia.
Like
Tobias Merriweather exists at Alabama.
We're not considering the amount of young guys that play in college football that have zero football IQ. As a really true freshman, you'd be like,
yeah.
But when you see them, they're catching basic stuff.
Yeah, screen passes.
Go to Louisville's receiver room right now. Go to Miami's receiver room right now.
But now that's a
Tobias Merriweather go to any of those rooms anywhere else. They're not gonna be like, oh, we don't trust him. They're gonna be like, man, when he's out there for them 3-4 plays, you seen him. Look at Ohio State.
Yes.
Ohio
But now
State
you're opening up
freshmen.
You're opening up an entirely different conversation that leads to Tommy Rees, that leads to the Notre Dame offense over the last 2-3 years, which leads to how attractive it is in recruiting to quarterbacks and to receivers. Like, now you're digging deep into like big picture issues, right? So, man, I hear what you're saying. Irish Mills 540 says, let him make mistakes on the field. We need to stop not letting talent on the field because of youth. Has nothing to do with youth. If you're not ready, you're not ready.
And I think that
it's not up to us as the fan base to determine whether or not a kid is ready because somebody else isn't doing their job.
Doing their job. Yeah.
If you're not doing your job, and I know if I put you out there, I'm putting you at a disadvantage because either physically you're not ready or mentally you're not ready, then I'm doing you a disservice. So we're going to have to coach this dude up.
Coach him up.
And not sacrifice you just because. You can't say, dude, 2 freshmen are getting ticked. Tariq Bracy went out, and Al Golden flat out said after the Ohio State game, we called the double safety blitz because we trust Jaden Mickey. He's a dog.
That's going to go. What do you think goes further? That or saying,
absolutely.
To the media and the kid got to hear it later like, oh, I don't trust him.
Absolutely. Because you know he feels awful. Yeah, you knew he felt bad after that game.
You're not going to Notre Dame and you didn't recruit him to be like, yeah, I don't trust you.
Facts.
So he's trying.
But I'll say this as well. Jaden Mickey came in knowing he had a shot to start because the defensive back room was one of the questionable rooms.
Yeah.
And the competition was open. And from the first practice, the first play of the first practice, where the media was there the day after the pro day, they threw a hook route to Braden Lindsay, and Jaden Mickey lit him up. And I text you immediately and said, what?
Yeah.
We got one.
We got him. Screen.
Not only did he hit him, he stood over him and he talked trash. And I said, we got one.
Yep.
We got a dog. And we kept saying it throughout the fall, throughout summer practice. He's a dog. Benjamin Morrison came back. I watched him light up Logan Diggs in practice. Logan Diggs hit him in the face. I watched the entire defense run over and back him up. And I said, they respect him. True freshmen, they respect him already. And he didn't back down from Logan Diggs. We got another one. The dogs on defense are playing. They're playing. Junior Tuilamaka is going to continue to get more tick. Prince Colley, as he gets better physically, is going to get more tick. We got to stop this panic, man, of just wanting to see young kids just to see them. The Tobias thing, that's isolated to me.
It is isolated to me.
Because defensively, I get it. I understand why certain youngsters are playing and why other youngsters aren't playing.
But offensively, no excuse.
No, I agree. Flat out, no excuse. I agree.
Position.
I agree. And, it's hard. It's hard to see Matt Salerno out there, and this is no disrespect to Matt Salerno.
It has nothing to do with Matt Salerno.
It has nothing to do with
Matt Salerno. We're not flying to all over the world to sit down in your room and try to get you to come to Notre Dame. Though the effort we putting in, the flyer miles we putting in, the bring guys in, like a Tobias Merriweather, that's the disconnect we're having. Why are you flying all over the world? Matt Salerno was a phone call. I'm sure y'all saw him on signing day and all that. Y'all not being like, oh, we got to get Matt Salerno from LSU or Bama or Ohio State. Matt Salerno was like gracious for the offer. Gracious. Marcus Freeman probably called him maybe once or twice, check in, check see how his grade's doing. Did he go to the dance or not? But
You stupid.
he calling Tobias Merriweather like, listen, man, I'm really trying to have a relationship. I see big things. I love your mama's ribs. I'm gonna come to the game. All of that. And then you get him up here and you don't play him, but you play Salerno like he been the Rudy of the school. In the NFL, if they're paying a guy $30 million, he's gonna play. Regardless if he's the better guy on the depth chart, he's gonna play. If we're spending all this time and recruitment and effort and money on these receivers, Braylon James, Jordan Greathouse, et cetera, they need to be playing when they get to school, regardless
Man.
of who's in there.
But once again, that goes to we've seen Harry Heastan play freshman. We've seen it. The wide receiver position at Notre Dame, for some reason, I have no clue, right? Because the freshman tight end, Holden Stays and Eli Raridan have played. Both.
And they're not a Michael Mayer.
I don't know. Eli Raridan is a dude, bro.
Yeah, he's a dude. But I'm just saying now.
He's a dude. I gotta push back on that one a little bit. Eli Raridan is a dude.
But he's not Michael Mayer right now.
If Michael Mayer wasn't here, he could be. No, he could be freshman. He could be freshman Michael Mayer. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
He could be freshman Michael Mayer if he was that dude and Michael Mayer wasn't.
Tobias Merriweather could be a freshman Michael Floyd.
Hey, you're preaching to the choir. You're preaching to the choir, bro. You're preaching.
You never put him out there. If you never put him out there, you never know. You can tell with Eli Raridan because Eli Raridan's ass be out there.
Oh, man.
He flashes. I want to see a flash from a young guy because as a recruit, if I'm Jordan Greathouse, I see Tobias Merriweather flash. I'm like, okay, I'm flashing next year too.
I agree.
I understand the role. But, we got to figure that out. So we'll be all right.
But once again, Michael Mayer showed up on campus and everybody knew, oh, this dude is different.
Gonna be right.
He's different. Like if you're a dog, more than likely at any program you're going to play.
Yes.
If you're a dog at that position, I don't know.
Except Notre Dame, because even the great Jalen Smith almost didn't start because Danny Spahn was going to play, which we have respect for Danny Spahn, but it was just the grace of the football universe.
Yeah.
That it was out of Notre Dame's control about starting Jalen Smith, which was very, very right.
Yeah. So shout out to everybody that tapped in with us today. We wanted to talk about this. North Carolina is the perfect foe. We felt like Cal was the perfect foe for Notre Dame to face, being 0-2, trying to get things right, and the right opponent that doesn't do a lot defensively for Drew Pine to start against. And he was able to recover because of that, because they are so vanilla defensively, and you can run the same play over and over again, which Notre Dame did.
That's how desperate we got. We got
right.
Look, let's stop being game plan. We're just gonna do it what we can do best.
And we understand what Drake made, the receivers and the offense. By Phil Longo, we understand the challenge. But Notre Dame faced that challenge at Chapel Hill, held them in the 20s, and then when they came to South Bend last year, because of poor tackling by the same linebackers, like we get it, they allow big-time plays by Sam Howell running out of the pocket, and then they allow big plays through running backs. So we get it. We understand the challenge. Some of the same players are on the field at those positions. We understand the defensive line they have to wreck that offense. They have to. However, the defensive backfield is much better in its totality. And that's the one thing that Al Golden said. The Cal game was the most consistent his defense has played together as a group. I agree with that.
That's right.
I agree with that. Because the front seven didn't show up against Ohio State. They really didn't show up against Marshall. They showed up. The defensive backfield has been consistent. Now, if they can get the linebackers just to do the simple things, we're cooking with grease.
Cooking with grease.
And North Carolina gives us the opportunity, if Drew Pine can just get to 185, 200, and a couple of touchdowns, I think Notre Dame is going to win the game. We're not even asking them to get 300.
17-21, 185, man. 2 touchdowns.
That's it. That's it. You know what time it is.
Petticoat. Petticoat Junction.
It's time to get petty.
Oh, we did a good job executing.
Are you upset with something?
And fire up the Petticoat Junction train.
I just don't like you.
You don't?
No.
What is today's petty history? Petty Junction.
Petty Junction. Pettiest story of the day brought to you by Onora Whisky, OnoraWhisky.com, that premium American whiskey, OnoraWhisky.com. The NBA owners are mad petty, bro. Because they tried to stand firm with their boy Robert Sarver, and now they have yielded to public pressure and have forced him secretly to start the process of selling both of his teams in Phoenix, the Mercury and the Suns. So they mad petty for standing strong with their boy, like, we got your back. And now just a week later, like, man, I don't know, dog.
It's a sad day where you can public opinion can guilt you out of your own stuff.
I'll be honest, bro. I'm conflicted. And I've people, friends of mine have been upset with me because I said I'm conflicted. It's just tough because I feel like, then where do you draw the line?
That's what I'm saying.
Right? Like, if I build
I'm on the side of not giving up something that's yours. You can't convince me to sell my stuff. It's mine.
Yeah. I build a company
that trumps a lot of things.
And because you don't like something that I said,
or
the way I feel,
I gotta sell my franchise. Nah, bro. No.
It's like, if you tell me I don't need to be in operation anymore because of the look, okay, cool.
Because we can market around that.
Yeah. I'll remove myself as CEO. You never have to see me at the building ever again.
But it's still my team. Like, what are we talking about?
Man.
But then when you talking about stuff that he said, she said, is why I got to get rid of the whole team?
Yeah.
Because my whole thing is, why don't we just have, if we had our own teams and this happened, it'd be like, oh, we just won't play you guys anymore. But when you ain't got your own team, I don't believe in guilting people out of their own stuff.
It's just scary to me, bro. Because, like, what we do every day, we're bound at some point to upset somebody.
Yeah.
Based upon our opinion and what we say. And if they tell us, YouTube hits us up like, man, you got to shut your page down. What? My page? My platform? Where I give my opinion?
Sad day when that happens. So
that's tough. So I'm conflicted. Like, because I think he's a jerk. I think he's an idiot. But at the same time, it's like, my man, I feel for you, bro.
Can't nobody guilt you out your own stuff, man. Not if you own it. Now, if you was an employee, because that's not yours and you get fired, and okay. But if you the owner,
this is the thing, though. You feel good because they're selling a team, but they're cashing out. Like, you're not hurting him.
He's not. He's hurting from the fact that he's can't believe that he got to get forced out of his own stuff.
Facts.
Not that he's got to take a L on money issues or anything, or this is about anything. It's just about somebody is forcing you out of something you own because they don't like what you said.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's just crazy.
That's tough. That's tough, man. And that's the world we live in. That's the power of Twitter and social media and public pressure. Man. Yeah. So, man, great show, Left. Thank you for pointing out how Drew Pine is going to improve the passing game against North Carolina. We talked about a big elephant in the room and development at Notre Dame and big picture and Marcus Freeman and what he's saying about it and what they're showing as a staff. And then just feeling good about this matchup against North Carolina. You know, we'll see you tomorrow for another episode. Don't forget, subscribe, share, hit the like button. Let everybody know. Lucky Lefty, fastest growing podcast covering Notre Dame football. See you guys tomorrow, same time, for another great episode of the Lucky Lefty podcast. Looking to get one of our brothers to kind of preview North Carolina tomorrow. Hopefully he can fit us in his schedule. Until then, have a great day. Most of all, make sure you spend it different.